What's up, everyone? Assalamu alaikum. Today we're back with another video. We're checking out Sheikh Uthman and Sneako talking about the terrorist attack that happened recently in San Diego. Let's just get into the video and see what they got to say.
For 6-7. Salam alaikum, Sheikh Uthman.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
So
How you been, Sneako?
I'm doing great, alhamdulillah. It's a blessed time. It's supposed to be fasting. Eid's coming up. And to give context, there was just a terrorist attack, really. The FBI is calling it a hate crime. Trump didn't call it a terrorist attack yet, but that's the definition of a terrorist attack, what happened in San Diego. Can you explain what's happening?
Yes. So first thing, just for some context, this is my masjid. I mean, I'm not saying I'm the imam there, but this is the masjid I grew up in. When I came to the deen in 1995, this is the masjid I went to. Masjid Abu Bakr, named after the great Khalifa Abu Bakr ibn Siddiq, Islamic Center of San Diego. It was 5-10 minutes from my house until I moved. And from 95 until I became the imam Masjid Revert, which is probably about 20 years, this was my everyday masjid. My children went to this masjid. They have a Islamic school on the weekends. My son Yusuf, my son Musa went there. I taught in that school. This is a very close masjid to me, and the people that have been killed, shuhada inshallah, in this absolute terrorist attack, if this is not terrorism, I don't know what is. I don't understand why that definition only is used for Muslims when two terrorists armed to the teeth with semi-automatic weapons attacked a place of worship intending to kill children that were in school. They didn't attack at a time where most people were there, like Jum'ah, Friday prayer. They attacked while the school was in session because their intent, as from their own text messages are coming out, was to kill elementary school children while getting an education. This masjid is something that, I mean, I don't even understand how people like Laura Loomer and others can be applauding killing of children, an attack on a place of worship, an attack on a school. The brother, and again, I'm really I'm very emotional right now because this brother who was killed, the security guard, he is somebody that I've known since the late 90s. He is somebody that I taught how to pray. This is somebody that went for Umrah with us. May Allah bless the brothers who sponsored people for Umrah. But he's one of the reverts that became Muslim, and we sponsored him to go Umrah with us. And I've sent you the text message that he sent me. I'd love for you to share it as well, to show people what a wonderful person he was, what a loving and thankful person he was. And this is the person that got killed. And subhanallah, he is such a hero, because when these terrorists, Christian fundamentalists, extremists, terrorists attacked this place of worship, he risked his own life and he called the lockdown, which secured all those elementary young kids in the schools that these terrorists couldn't get to. And he took them on, and he gave his life, inshallah, from the shuhada. And other people who were killed in this attack are all people I knew, all people that I personally knew. Abul Izz, one of the other heroes, he's an elderly man. I know his sons. His sons are people who give da'wah with One Message Foundation. When I first came to this masjid in 1995, he's the first one I spoke to. These are people who have kids, have families. These are my own friends. Children were in the school at that time. People who give da'wah with the One Message Foundation, their young children were attending that school while it was attacked. This attack was pre-planned, premeditated, inspired by the likes of Jake Lang, inspired by the likes of Laura Loomer, inspired by the likes of David Wood and Avery and Godlogic and Sam Shimon and Apostate. These guys have brewed this environment of hate. It's not about academic.
Yeah, I 100% agree. The likes of those people he just mentioned, they're the ones that spew all this hate on Islam. They call themselves Christian apologetics, but if you go on their channel, the only thing they do is talk about Islam and spread hate. So they built this fan base, of people that worship them and follow exactly what they say, and then it creates guys like this, Christian guys like this, who just go out and hate Muslims. They go to mosque and they're such cowards to the point where they wouldn't even go when the masjid is packed with Muslim men. During the Jummah prayer, they look during school hours where kids are learning how to recite the Quran and learn about Islam, and then they plan an attack there. It's sad. May Allah humiliate that person. Like, I think he took his own life, but may Allah humiliate him in the hereafter. Like, that's disgusting. How can you go and attack kids who are defenseless?
Discuss when we give da'wah, we don't attack Jesus, peace and blessings be upon him. We love him. We don't attack Christianity at large. We bring evidences from the Bible, from the Quran. When these guys respond, they do nothing but spew hate, spew violence. The likes of that, what's her name, the
Valentina Gomez.
Valentina Gomez. When
Right.
she is telling people to eradicate Islam and Muslims, she's inspiring these kinds of terrorists to go out and kill children. This is what has happened today. They attacked the school. They couldn't get to those children because brave men, Muslim men, gave their lives to stop them.
Mhm.
But that was their intent.
Yeah, I have the messages here from the security guard, and may Allah give him the highest rank in Jannah, inshallah. He's a martyr. He's a revert who's been martyred.
Yeah.
So this means he gets the highest rank, inshallah. And there's nothing Christ-like about this attack. So I don't think it's fair to say that these are Christians because Jesus did not teach this. So clearly they're not following the teachings of Christianity. You know, they're brainwashed people. And the rhetoric that we're seeing, especially from...
Yeah, I mean, because Sneako is just stating the obvious. Obviously, this is not the teachings of Jesus and in the Bible. I mean, this is clearly a cult-based motive that it's probably someone who watches guys like God Logic or Dog Logic and David Wood online, and then they feel like they're obligated to do this stuff. This is what happens when you spread the wrong message about Christianity. Christianity does not teach this. It's a terrorist attack. It's simple as that.
The White House and saying eradicate, deport Muslims. Randy Fine, the congressman, saying that Muslims are evil and all terrorists. This is why they're inspired. It's because it's ramped up. And they do this specifically to justify war. There's only one reason why Muslims get called terrorists and others don't. This is a clear terrorist attack. If it was on a synagogue, or if it was on a church, if it was on any innocent civilians other than Muslims in America, immediately they would condemn it. But Trump was just asked at a press conference, what do you think happened? He said, we're looking into it strongly. If that was a synagogue, a church, if that was an attack on a government building or a school, immediately there would be an entire press conference. But because it's a masjid, 5 seconds and he moves on and he goes back to the war that he wants to justify. So it's horrible to see. And I'll bring up the messages here. Thank you for sharing this. This is, and rest in peace to the security guard, a real hero, because you could see that the children were being escorted out, and luckily no children were killed. I'm showing.
And if he had not risked his life and made that split-second decision to call this in while being shot at, these terrorists would have attacked children in the school. They were not able to get in, but that was their plan. But he saved them. He gave his life. May Allah accept him from the shuhada. And I've just sent you a picture of him that was in Umrah with us. If you can share that as well.
So here is as a message to you. In November 2024, he's saying that I thank you for being the means of me experiencing the miracle of Umrah. I never saw it coming. I've benefited from your authentic knowledge and leadership during this whole trip. I do apologize for missing out on some gatherings due to illness. May Allah Ta'ala always bless you with protection. Ameen. May your blessed mother be proud of you in this dunya and on Qiyamah for all your sincere efforts for the deen. Ameen. May this count as sadaqah jariyah for you. Ameen. Jazakallah khair. This
brother has, Allahumma barak, 9 children. He is somebody that, again, I've known since the late 90s, and he's always served the Muslim community. He's always been there to protect and serve. And we had this program, and I know you sponsored a brother as well, and a lot of other brothers, may Allah bless them, sponsored these brothers to go for Umrah, and we sponsored him. And he was, he risked his health because he had a lot of health issues, but he went. And he got sick, and Yusuf spent a lot of time taking care of him in the Umrah. Wow. And he was such a loving person. I sent you a picture as well. You can share
it up. It's just him at Umrah. It's beautiful to see. So here he is. Oh, there you are. So this is one of the Umrah trips. I didn't go on this one, but are these mostly reverts? So he's also a revert. What's his name?
His name is Amin. Amin Abdullah is his name, his Muslim name. I don't know what his name before was. Ever since I met him, alhamdulillah, he's gone by that name. But he reverted in the 90s. And as you can see, the brothers on the front, a few of those are reverts. Some Mexican brothers. We have Saul there. We have our other brothers in the back with us, Reverts as well. So most of this group was also Revert. There were some other brothers that went with us that were any people of Da'wah as well, like our brothers from Atlanta and stuff. Yiri's in the picture. He's also Revert, the tall brother in the back. Alhamdulillah, this brother, you can see that this is a human being. This is a person. This is a father. This is somebody who was just serving to protect. Why was he attacked? I mean, what did he do wrong? What did those children do wrong to be attacked? I mean, imagine those children in the school. They're hearing these gunshots. They're hearing these weapons going off of people trying to come into a elementary level school to kill children. I don't know how anybody mocks this on Twitter and X. People are sending me screenshots of people that are clapping at this attack, at a terrorist attack on a place of worship and a school. I don't understand how people like Laura Loomer are mocking this. How can this be by somebody who claims to be a Christian? I don't just mean those two terrorists. I mean those that are justifying this and applying this and making memes of clapping and happy about this. Is this what turning the other cheek is about? Would
Right.
Jesus be happy, peace and blessings be upon him, at something like this?
Yeah.
This is not a war zone. You didn't go and attack combatants in a place of war. These are people that were worshiping. These are children that were gaining an education.
Mm-hmm. I mean, look, people like Loomer are not even human. There's really no other way to put it. These are completely demon-possessed people. They did not wait 1 second to politicize it and use it for their own agenda. And they're saying everything they can to try to discredit it. She's mad that it's a hate crime. She says it's a false flag. She said it's Muslim on Muslim attacks. And again, she's not even Christian. She says that America is not a Christian country. She's saying this right now. Well, she's Jewish and she prides herself in that and pushes Zionist propaganda. According to the people around MAGA, it's also not a country for people like her. So this divisive rhetoric, she's saying that all Muslims need to be deported. Only people that are completely gone, only people that are possessed by some evil can be like this immediately and get upset that they're classifying it as a hate crime, which it so obviously is. It's horrible to see. I can't believe that it happened this quickly.
My question is, I mean, no doubt hate drove this. It wasn't like some personal beef or it wasn't drug related. So it's obviously a hate crime, but why is it not being called a terrorist attack? If this was a Muslim that had attacked a synagogue or a church, and again, we condemn any attack on the house of worship from any faith.
Absolutely.
Any innocent life should not be attacked. But if it was, 100% Trump would be on TV 24/7. National Guard would be rolled out. There would be an uproar of this terrorist attack. Even right now, in the news, they were like, is this terrorism? Well, what does that mean? They're just saying, was this a Muslim? And if it was, then we call it terrorism. If it's not, then it's not. Like, how does that make sense? Mm-hmm. How do average Americans living in this country, fellow citizens of a country that I'm a citizen of, not wake up to this?
Because terrorism is only used for one group of people. Look at the UN definition. Look at the definition of terrorism. To everybody watching, it's violence for religious or political gain. It's not exclusive to one group of people, but the media narrative, everybody is aware that it is, and that it's only used for one group. Even the FBI, they're saying that it's a hate crime until it's not. So they're investigating. They're going to look at it. Obviously, if it was anybody else, they would know what to call it. They would call it a terrorist attack and there'd be a huge press conference, but they don't seem to care whatsoever. And it's a place of worship. And the fact that they're going at children, you get to understand why, because the rhetoric from people like Loomer, they're saying that, oh, all Muslims, they want to kill everybody. Muslims can't exist in America. Muslims need to be they're really pushing genocidal rhetoric. And so that's why people like this and the attackers feel inspired to go after children. They believe that they're doing something that's eradicating a problem. They think that this is what they're supposed to do because they're buying up all of the lies that we hear. And to most rational people, this obvious what's happening. It's clear that it's propaganda to push war and to get people like Trump elected and to push more of their agenda. But to a lot of these insane people that are getting inspired, they don't know any better. And it's not anything Christian about it. These are fake Christians. They're just using that, and they don't follow any teachings of Jesus.
Where is the voice of the real Christians then? Where is the condemnation of such things?
I saw Anna Kasparian immediately said something. Shout out to her. She immediately
and I really hope that Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and others are going to speak up against this. And I really hope that the Islamophobes, those like Jeffrey Lang, that should now recognize that they have blood on their hands. Jake Lang.
Yeah.
Jake Lang, people like him who already attacked our capital, who already attacked police officers, that were in prison, that were sentenced, not accused, but sentenced for attacking the US government, but somehow got pardoned, are now out there throwing pig heads, calling for violence against Muslims. And these people are taking up that message. These kinds of Islamophobes have blood on their hands. These are Mossad agents. These are people working for an agenda to cause conflict between Muslims and Christians. We are more than happy to have academic discussions. We can bring the Quran, we can bring the Bible, we can peacefully talk, but we never ever call for violence against Christians, against people of the Jewish faith or Hindu faith, against innocent people anywhere.
Absolutely.
But people like Jeffrey Lang that are calling for the extermination of Muslims, what about them? Why aren't they speaking out now, saying that an attack on children, an attack on innocent people, an attack on the house of worship is unacceptable?
A perfect example, Israel, when this war started, they bombed a synagogue in Iran.
I mean, it's pretty simple, right? Because they have their own propaganda that they spew out that they hate Islam. So they would never condemn this because their whole message is to kill Muslims and eradicate them. It's straight hatred towards Islam. That's all it is. These people are evil.
Right? They keep saying Iran is religiously backwards. And then when the Zionists attack, they hit an innocent place of worship. And I condemn that instantly. That's an act of terror. This is horrible. I hate to see this, and I'm not going to ever politicize that. And that thought would never cross my mind to say anything negative. That is horrible. And I saw the rabbis were speaking up in Iran, talk about how horrible it is. In fact, the synagogue in Iran, it predates the existence of Israel. They are that place of worship is older than that evil Zionist regime. And Jake Lang, these people, and even Tommy Robinson, he just had this protest in the UK. And they're saying that they're putting Britain first and they are anti-globalism, anti-immigration. The only unifying issue that they have, because they're waving Israeli flags, Iran flags, is that they just hate Muslims. They bring 3 French women on stage and they're all wearing burqas. The first thing they do is strip naked and say, oh, take it off and now we're free. Then they bring a Korean guy to play the violin and he has 2 bacon strips on his shoulders, even though Jesus didn't eat pork and neither did the Jews. So they think that this is kryptonite. They're really doing it because they hate Muslims and they're trying to find any stupid reason to spread hate.
And the number one growing immigrant population in the United Kingdom is not Muslims. Hindus are growing from immigration more than Muslims, but nobody talks about that. Nigerian Christians are one of the top immigration classes coming into the United Kingdom, but nobody cares about that because these people are paid by foreign governments to cause such a thing. Tommy Robinson, how much money is he getting from Zionist lobbies? Let's be honest, from a foreign entity. Those American senators and congressmen that are sitting there with Israeli flags on their desks, they're representing a foreign flag. They have dual citizenships with Israel. They are taking that money and stroking this violence against peaceful, innocent Muslims that are just praying in a mosque, that are praying to the same God that Jesus prayed to. Innocent children that were just going to school that were attacked. Where's the voices calling this out as a terrorist attack? And I'll tell you something, Sneako. Me and you went to this mosque. Me and you went there together. This same mosque, we could have been there. When you came to San Diego and we went out to Balboa Park and we did da'wah, that day we went to pray Dhuhr at this actual mosque. And there's a picture I just sent you.
Yeah, I showed him.
You can share. This is me and you at that mosque that was attacked today.
I learned how to make wudu there. Thanks again. This was right after I reverted. I went to San Diego to meet the brothers and to meet you. And it was a beautiful masjid. I had a great experience out there. It was a reminder that Islam is an international religion. It's for all of mankind because in America, you have a beautiful masjid like this. And so that actually has a special place in my heart because that was the first place that I learned that I have to cleanse myself properly in order to present myself in front of the Creator, that this is the proper way to do this ritual so that when I put my head down to the floor, I have no filth on my body. For this to happen here, it really does strike close to home. And people like Tommy Robinson, you brought it up perfectly. This guy, and excuse my language, in the Epstein files specifically, Jeffrey Epstein and Steve Bannon were making fun of Tommy Robinson. I don't know if you saw the Sheikh Uthman, and they were saying that he's a cheap prostitute. They used a word, a more explicit word. They said Tommy Robinson is cheap at any price. Okay, and they brag about the money that they take, and they brag about the donations. His son is at a private jet bragging about You know, how he's flexing on broke people and he's getting this money. He's buying that private jet ticket with the donation that people spend. And it's not anti-immigration. They pretend and they lie and act like it's okay, we're going to stop immigration. Trump is just talking about how 500,000 Chinese students are going to come into our country. The H-1B visas are being pushed a lot in India, and this is a predominantly Hindu country, not a predominantly Muslim country. They are not actually anti-immigration. The only issue they align on is anti-Islam. And now we're seeing the repercussions of this. It's not just rhetoric, it's resulting in real violence.
In fact, most of the rhetoric that they spew about immigrant violence by immigrants are not by Muslims. And you were correct, may Allah bless you, for calling out Andrew Tate on this one, when every example he gave of Muslim immigrants being violent turned out to be not Muslims. Like the one who stabbed the girls at the concert for Taylor Swift, whatever, turned out to be a Christian.
Fake Christian.
And who was born in Cardiff, Wales, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again,
not even an immigrant, yeah.
Not even an immigrant. So this is a false narrative being used to strike hatred, Islamophobia. They're not people who call towards Christianity. Tommy Robinson's never called people towards the Bible. These people, Jeffrey Lang was, Jeff, what was his name? Jake Lang. Jake Lang was, I don't even care about these guys, to be honest. They're a joke. Jake Lang was out there kissing the wall in occupied Palestine. And these are the people that are striking this hate into the hearts of kids. The two attackers, as far as we know right now, were 17 and 19 years old. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they both committed suicide afterwards, as we're hearing from the news reports. I mean, I got a call this morning from a brother when he first reported it, and another one whose child was inside the school trapped while that was going on. And this is one of our brothers that gives da'wah with us at One Message Foundation, somebody who's with us. And when we were hearing about what's going on, I was getting the live updates because this is my community. This is my city where I was raised. This is a mosque that I used to regularly go with my children to pray in every day. You know, it was so emotional for me, because when I first heard that our brother Amin, the security guard, and he was shaheed, he was killed, I couldn't believe it. This is somebody that, you know, I taught how to pray as well. I remember sitting with him in Mecca, going over prayers, just somebody that was so close to me. And the other two brothers, both of them people that I knew for many, many years. Now, what's insane to me is during this tragedy, where children are trapped and they're worrying if they're going to get shot up, heroes like these brothers are stopping these terrorists from breaking into a school and giving up their own lives. We have people, trolls like Laura Loomer, mocking it. We have people joking about it, people applauding it.
Not even that, they're trying to discredit it. She's calling it a false flag attack. She's saying that this is fake news, that she's saying that they're using this to go and spread anti-free speech laws. They politicize it, and they just say everything they can, hoping that one of the narratives sticks. And Jake Lang, you brought it up perfectly. This guy, he's yelling about white supremacy and being a crusader, saying that he's here to saying Christ is king. This guy's kissing the wall in Israel. How in occupied Palestine? How is this a white supremacist Christian crusader who's literally there with the small hat kissing the wall that every politician in America has to kiss too? Is this really your Christian crusader?
I mean, I just want, if you're Christian and you're watching this, I just want you to do one thing. Take a step back and just think, what would Jesus do? Would Jesus, peace and blessings be upon him, be proud of somebody attacking a place of worship, attacking children, trying to kill children while they're getting an education, killing those that are protecting a house of worship? Nobody instigated this. No, this wasn't a fight.
The saddest thing is that this actually has to be a question that we have to ask the Christians. Like, there's majority of Christians believe that this is okay and that we should do this because they spread hate and they hate Islam. Like, it's sad that this is actually a question. How can killing innocent children ever be okay? Like, are Christians this brainwashed? Do they hate Islam this much? And they do. That's why they're all okay with it, and they try to justify it with any reasoning.
It wasn't an altercation that led to these two supposed Christians. And again, I don't believe they're following the message of Jesus, peace and blessings be upon him. but they did, as far as we know from the news reports so far, they did identify as Christians, and they were acting. The messages have been leaked between them. They were acting in accordance to what they had heard from these Islamophobic Christian preachers that call themselves Christian.
I think they're fake Christians. I think a comparison is Pope Leo, the Catholic Pope, who said,
Yeah, but Sneako's not really understanding what Uthman is saying. Sneako keeps calling them fake Christians, but he has to understand that there's people pushing this way of Christianity online, like God Logic and David Wood and whoever, Jeff Lang or whatever they said his name was, Valentina Gomez. Like, they push this idea of Christianity. That's what Uthman is trying to say. You can't call them fake Christians when they believe this is the truth they're following, right? They may be misguided to what Christianity actually is, but there's a lot of people, and the majority of people actually believe this.
that he's against this war. The Pope Leo, who was saying that he thinks that Muslims can coexist. He just visited a MASJID in Algeria. Pope Leo, who was there with the Palestinian flag. These Catholics and the Orthodox Christians, they don't follow, like this new sect and these controlled people, they don't actually follow anything about Christianity. The only thing they really believe in is hating Muslims. They are Christian Zionists, and that doesn't even make sense. People like Ted Cruz saying that God must bless those that bless the state of Israel. Why would Jesus teach you to bless a state that existed after 1948? That doesn't make sense. It's a manipulated form of religion that's used as a populist tool, but it's not authentic Christianity. And Pope Leo does make a good distinction for that.
And I want to point something out. How many Christian Palestinians have been killed? How many churches in Gaza, in Palestine, have been bombed and destroyed? In Lebanon. Why are those Christians not standing up for their own Christian brethren?
Because they don't. I mean, look, they're trying to talk about the Christians in Nigeria now, but they've been brainwashed so much to think, you know, people from the Middle East equals terrorists. They don't know if Islam is a race or a religion. They just believe what they're hearing from these propagandists and from these shills. It's really unfortunate. And putting it into perspective, I mean, may Allah give you Barakah for being able to come on the stream. This just happened. We're talking as if this is something that was a weeks ago. This is unfolding right now.
Today.
The president still hasn't even addressed it properly. The FBI can't decide if it's a hate crime or not. They said it's a hate crime for now. Immediately, this is the responsibility that we should take as Muslims and not fall into this propaganda. I'm seeing people are getting angry and upset. You can't stoop down to their level and use that same hateful rhetoric. We have to conduct ourselves in a better way and say what's correct. We can't have this divisive language because real world violence is happening. Immediately, we need to shut up this propaganda as soon as they come out with it. But you can't stoop down to their level because that's what they want. They need us to be divided and conquered. They don't want any unity. So don't play into their hand and make sure that we stay steadfast and strong in times like this where the temperature is, I think, hotter than it's ever been since 9/11.
And I'll tell you something, just from a perspective of these people who want to deny the humanity of those people that have been killed today, innocent people. This brother, Amin, when he was in Umrah, and I have Yusuf with me, I just want to talk about this. You know, he got ill. Like, he was on this spiritual journey and he got ill. And every day, even though Yusuf was running the Umrah trip, he was going and spending time with him, visiting on him, checking up on him. And this brother was so ill that he couldn't even speak for a while. But he was still motivated to complete the Umrah. And this is not something that people have made up. These are people we know. We look at those pictures, look at these texts. This is somebody that I've known since the late 90s. This is a human being with children.
9
Where
children.
is the compassion?
9 children. It's
Tell us a little bit about your experience with him.
No, man. What can I say? Asha'Allah, tabarakallah. He was an amazing guy. Allahumma barak. I remember being on the Umrah trip with him. I was upset with him when I found out about his health because he, mashallah, tabarakallah, he was going like every salah, every single time salah time came, he was going to the masjid when he clearly had an issue and he needed to rest. Allahumma barak.
It really shows the character of Muslims like this, because if you remember the atrocities of that Bondi shooting on the beach in Australia, there was a terrorist and he was committing violent acts. But do you know who stopped the shooter? It was a Muslim. So they want to use, immediately, what do they say? Terrorist attack. Unlike the one today, because it's an attack on Muslims. It's an attack on Jews. It's a terrorist attack. But the character of the Muslims, a Muslim sees what's happening. He sees someone evil doing this and he stops him. This attack here, he sees that these evil people are trying to go at children and a Muslim is the one to stop it. And may Allah give them Jannah. May Allah martyr them.
May Allah accept their martyrdom. Again, a lot of things are just unfolding, but from brothers that were at the mosque that I've spoken to, people that were around there, from what I've heard is these terrorists, when they attacked the mosque, they were repelled not just by the security guard that was armed, but by an unarmed Muslim that was there who grabbed the weapon from the dead security guard and shot back at him. Wow. And that's what saved the lives of those children. Now, a lot of this stuff is still unfolding. Like you said, this is even right now, the police is still there. They're still doing house-to-house checks because there is some indication there may have been an additional shooter. At least 2 are dead. 3 innocent adult Muslim men are also dead. All of them on the outside, meaning they defended the mosque, the place of worship. They defended those innocent children with their lives.
Heroes. And you're in San Diego right now, correct?
I'm actually the undisclosed location.
Okay. Well, we want to keep your safety. I don't want to jeopardize anything.
We have, unfortunately, as you may have seen online, we've been getting a lot of threats to me personally. My address has recently been doxed, and threats have been sent to me. And again, I'm not afraid, but we have to be careful now because, just a week ago, my address was posted online with a little bomb emoji by some Islamophobes who call themselves Christian apologists with a threatening message about, we're going to visit this guy and, whatever. We're being careful. And I think Muslims in America have to really just step up. I don't think we can depend on the police anymore.
We can't.
They may show up, but it's going to be after the fact, right? So Malcolm X, man, by any means necessary. We're not going to be afraid. We're not going to be silenced. We're not going to be bullied. We're going to stay strong. Our da'wah is going to continue. Alhamdulillah, I was in Maryland, Virginia, and Maryland this last weekend. We had 2 shahadas. We had da'wah, but the hate that we got, the people that we're just standing at a place trying to share information, build bridges. We got people, and the video is going to be posting on One Message Foundation that just came and they were calling for our heads. Those videos are going to be posting soon. You'll see them. And we told them, look, if you want to discuss, bring the Bible, bring the Quran. We can have academic discussions all day long. We can discuss that we follow the religion that Jesus followed. We don't eat pork like Jesus. These guys, they bring bacon and put it in our faces as if it's like kryptonite. I'm not scared of bacon. I think it's filthy. But imagine Jesus, peace and blessings. He didn't eat pork. He ate the kosher laws that we eat as halal. He put his forehead on the ground the way we pray. When we're praying and putting our head on the ground, praying to the same God that Jesus prayed to, and these people are spitting at us. As you've seen the videos from Florida and Texas, is that how Jesus would act?
And especially at these Tommy Robinson protests, they're chanting, "Who is Allah? Who the F is?" And they don't even realize that Jesus said Allah. So you don't even know the words of the God that you claim to be king. Second, you bring up a great point about how Muslims, we have to stand up for ourselves now because the police don't help. I was just attacked on the street. It was definitely a paid attacker. He had a weapon ready. He had a Dr. Pepper ready. The police are not helping whatsoever. They are not arresting the guy. They said he's homeless and they don't know where he is. I try to go to the precinct and the detective is nowhere to be found. They can't identify the guy. So what do they expect me to do? And Sheikh Uthman, I don't know if you saw, so right after I was attacked, New York Post, which is owned by the same people that are encouraging these people to spread hate, they post an article and they title it saying, attention-seeking streamer, jihadist streamer Sneako gets attacked on the street, basically celebrating it. New York Post today, after this attack happens, they post saying people get shot in a masjid with links to 9/11 attackers. So immediately before they even hear the details, they're linking the masjid in San Diego to 9/11. The New York Post just posted this. Wallahi, I'll send it to you. This is how quickly they politicize it. And what they're saying is, they think that this is justified. They're justifying it within the headline of the article. It's a signal to the people that are demonically possessed to do something about this. When they see my name being slandered in Sky News Australia, I just get banned for criticizing Israel. They say that I'm an evil person. This is inspiring these insane people to act in a way where they think that they're justified in hurting somebody who's spreading hate, even though they're wrong. When New York Post immediately sees this attack and links it to 9/11, people that hate Muslims and people that see what's going on, they don't think of it as a terrorist attack. They see it as something justified. The media is against us. The government is against us. The police don't seem to be helping. They can't even decide if it's a terrorist attack. The narrative is against us. The propaganda is. So when you see all these people on the same side of this issue, how could you expect to be? We have to protect ourselves and we have to make sure that we stay steadfast. And you just can't succumb to this pressure because you can't expect help from any of these people in America right now.
You know, I've been attacked. You know about the history. I was stabbed. We even have the attacker on video. And not only did these people at least not have sympathy of somebody who was stabbed, you know, they tried to deny it happened. I mean, I went to court. I've got the court documents. I can show you every information about that attack. But these people, they tried to even deny it. I was attacked another time personally while giving da'wah at the one at Balboa Park with the One Message Foundation. We have video. The man came at us with a baton and a knife. Video of the whole thing. And these guys still justify such a thing. And I want to say something because you brought up Tommy Robinson and what they were using the curse words for the word Allah. I have an Arabic Bible here, right? This is the Arabic Christian Bible, New Testament, Old Testament. You know what word do they use for the use when Jesus is calling out to his God? When he says, my God, do you know what the word they use?
Elahi, even in Passion of the Christ.
No. Allah.
Allah.
Not even the Aramaic, Elo or Elahi. No. Allah. Alif, Lam, Lam, Ha. Allah. The exact same word we use. They have in the Arabic Bible. Now, of course, different Arabic Bibles may use Ilah also, but this has Allah. The exact same word is being used in the Arabic Bible for the same God that Jesus prayed to. So they're asking who the F, you know, all these kinds of things. Tell them open up an Arabic Bible and you'll find out.
Well, they're not even real Christians. They don't worship. They have no idea about the faith they claim to be part of. They really worship as Zionism, as money, as their donors, and the people that are encouraging them to be paid shills. All they worship is dunya. They want fame. They want a stage. They want their voices to be heard. They want to be dancing monkeys for the same people committing genocide. They don't worship anything real. They don't follow Jesus. They know nothing about it. I'm pulling up the New York Post article and showing you, making sure I get the headline correct. This posted at 6:15, literally 2 hours ago. San Diego mosque, where mass shooting left 3 dead, has controversial history, including ties to 9/11 attackers.
That is insane. That is absolutely insane. We have children that were going to a school at a place of worship, and something that mosque and that community is absolutely free from. You know, this is something that, you know, I was in San Diego during 9/11, and yes, there were people who were supposedly involved that lived in San Diego, and they went to different mosques. But just because somebody walked into a place, like if you went to a restaurant at Denny's and ordered a sandwich, you wouldn't say, you know, 9/11 related Denny's is being involved. That mosque is free from anything like that, as every other mosque in San Diego. You know, again, this is a place that my children went. This is a place that me and you went and prayed at, and I taught you the wudu and the prayer in this place. We actually made a video there on how to do wudu and pray.
Yeah, I remember.
And you know, this is a place where you remember the upstairs all school. They're elementary school, middle school, little kids. How do you justify that? I mean, I read the Bible a lot, and I've read many of the works of Christians about the life of Jesus and by others, and I've taught the life of Jesus, and Jesus was such a loving, such an amazing, empathetic, sympathetic prophet of Allah. Peace and blessings be upon him. I could never imagine him mocking or encouraging something like this.
In fact,
I don't know how somebody.
There's a document in the Catholic Church. This is called a Nostra Aetate, if I'm not mispronouncing it, where the Catholic leadership acknowledge that Muslims worship the Father alone. This is within Catholic doctrine. They don't alienate Muslims. They say Muslims worship the Father. So they say, yeah, we have the Trinity and we believe God is 3 and 1. We can respect that belief. And they acknowledge that Muslims worship the Father. They don't demonize. They don't say we should put bacon on our shoulders. They say that this is just a different form of worship. This is Catholic doctrine. But people don't look this up.
I was just in Virginia, and at the hotel that I was staying, and I was walking, I saw a man in a robe, a black, same look like me, big beard, but I saw he had a big wooden cross on. So I just went and I talked to him, and he was a Coptic Egyptian Christian Orthodox preacher or priest. And I just sat down. We had a very pleasant conversation, and he spoke Arabic, and I was speaking to him in Arabic, even though he spoke English fluent as well. And when we were speaking, I asked him, who did Jesus worship? Who did he pray to? And he, in Arabic, said Allah. He didn't say Ilo or Ilah, he said Allah. So I said, well, we worship Allah. And he said, and this is an Egyptian Coptic Christian, he said, there is no difference between your Allah and our Allah. He goes, the only difference between us is we believe that Jesus was a part of God himself, and you believe that Jesus was a prophet of God. So I had a Bible with me, and I took out the Bible and I showed him, and he had an Arabic Bible with him. And I showed him where Jesus calls himself a prophet in the Bible. And when he saw that, and this is a priest, he told me that no doubt that this verse and what you say is exactly the same. Right? So
it's beautiful.
We don't have this. I mean, in the Bible, the God of the Bible forbids pork. In the Bible, the God of the Bible ordains Jesus to pray. Jesus puts his forehead on the ground and prays. People that spit at us while we're praying in the same way that Jesus prayed, how do they live with themselves? When people bring pork and put it in our face, imagine if they took that same pork and put it in the face of Jesus, he would be as offended as we would be.
And look at the respect you give to this priest. I like that anecdote. But New York Post, they don't have the same sort of rhetoric. In fact, in the same article where they say it's linked to the 9/11 attackers, they say the current imam has justified the October 7th attacks in Israel. Then they say, and this is that more inciting and justifying what happened, saying, okay, it's not that bad that these attacks happened because he justified October 7th. Then they say 3 people, including a security guard, were killed when a pair of gunmen opened fire in the Islamic Center in San Diego. The suspected shooters were later found dead. The motive for the shooting was not immediately known. So shooters go into a mosque and you don't know the motive. You think that they were lost. Did they just accidentally put the wrong address in Google Maps? They thought that they were in the DMV?
Now, there are leaks, and again, we're waiting for verification because this is in live. There are leaks of...
Yeah, there were leaks, and I believe one of the shooter's mothers called in and said her son was coming in to attack the masjid. And they also figured out on the gun he used to shoot, there were words of hate crime towards Islam on it. So it was a planned attack, and there were text messages too that they were going to come during the time where the kids were. So they were planning to kill innocent kids, not even to be brave enough to enter the masjid full of men. They went at a time where the masjid had less people in it and kids were learning in school.
Of text messages that were sent between them, there are leaks of their posts that have been posted. Now, again, verification is there, where they planned this out. This was not an altercation or something like they had like an argument and went and got a gun and shot. No, they planned an attack, and in their plan, they were planning on killing the children. They didn't attack during Friday's sermon. They didn't attack during night prayer. They didn't even attack during a prayer time. They attacked during school time to attack children. As a Christian, as a human being that's watching this, would you support something like this?
And then they try to virtue signal and get at a moral high ground about October 7th. The quote that they're saying that the imam is guilty of, the quote word for word they said, the imam says, this did not start last week or on October 7th. This is the result of brutal Zionist occupation and genocide. And I say that, and I believe that. And I'll say it again.
And then again, if somebody says, if you come and harm my family and harm my children and harm my household, and finally I get sick and I punch you in the face, I'm not justifying the violence, but I do have to then say that it didn't start with that punch. It started before that, right? The people of Gaza have been in the biggest open-air prison in the history of mankind. 2 million people that are not allowed to leave when they want. They cannot trade. They cannot go and get food. People say, why don't they just leave? They can't leave. They're imprisoned. And then they're bombed. Not just from October 7th onwards, from before that.
The Nakba.
I mean, I want people of good faith, people of just anybody who's human. Forget about Christian and Jewish and Muslim and Hindu. Anybody who's just human, just to think, if you're a person living in Gaza And you have nothing to do with Hamas. You've got nothing to do with October 7th. You have nothing to do with any of that. You're just living there with your children. And these kinds of atrocities start, and you want to get away from it, but you can't leave. You're not allowed to leave. And your children get bombed and buried under rubble. What was your fault? And if that's not a genocide, what is?
And speaking out against that, you get the media, mainstream media, demonizing you and trying to justify attacks on you. And again, you brought up Malcolm X as a perfect example. You can't fear death, and I don't fear death. And I'm going to continue. Inshallah, I go back to the Islamic Center in San Diego with my head held high. Sure. And when I pray, I put my head towards the floor. I will go again, and attacks they happen on me. They've happened to you. And look at their rhetoric. They want it to continue to happen, but I refuse to live in fear. I know where, hopefully where I'll go.
Now, we have death threats being posted on the One Message Foundation channel in the comments every single day. Every single day we see death threats being posted. We see, and alhamdulillah, like you're saying, and like I'm saying, the Muslim community are not cowards. We will not be put into a state of fear. We will continue to build bridges, to spread the truth, to have conversations. We will continue the da'wah. We will continue to live as Americans as we have the right to do so. And I encourage the entire Muslim community to take up the Second Amendment and defend themselves, because we see right now, even when we are attacked in such a way, people who are, running for government offices are mocking it. This lady, Valencia, what's her name? The one from
Valentina
Texas.
Gomez, saying that she wants to put America first with the thickest Colombian accent I've ever heard. Like, they don't accept her, and she wants her approval.
Herself is not somebody who was born in the United States. She herself is somebody who immigrated. I mean, people like J.D. Vance and others whose wife's an immigrant herself, and they're talking about these kinds of things. When they spew this hate, that hate has consequences. Like if a Muslim imam came and gave a khutbah that Muslims should eradicate Christians in America, for example, and then somebody heard that and acted upon it, he would be arrested for inciting that hate. But when people like this incite that absolute hate, where they are calling for extermination of Muslims, and then people, young men, get influenced by that, teenagers, and act upon it, then aren't these people responsible?
And
isn't Jake Lang instigating this?
That's exactly what they want, and we're going to see the preceding events. We'll see how they react to it. We've already seen how Jigsaw Laura Loomer did. I have some photos of the suspected shooters, the people that were found dead, these high school students. And I'm not going to show it on the screen because I think that this is beating the rhetoric. You see, if the situation was reversed, the media would be plastering these people everywhere. I see this one, and yes, he does look white, but I don't want to categorize and say that that white people are responsible the same way they would say all Muslims are responsible. That's not fair. If he was a Christian, it'd say his Bible said Christ is king. It's not fair to categorize all Christians and say that they're all terrorists, the same way the media would say all Muslims are terrorists if it was a Muslim shooter.
But I do hope that Christian organizations, not just individuals, especially those that have been spewing death hate, the likes of Jake Lang and others, will come out and condemn this. That they will come out and tell people that this is not what should be done. Because if they don't, and they mock it, and they instigate it, then they have blood on their hands. And I believe that good Christians, good people of the Jewish faith, good people of any faith will see this and condemn it. I would never support Muslims attacking children, Muslims attacking places of worship. In fact, the Prophet, peace be upon him, he forbid, even in times of war, let alone when you're just living in a country as fellow citizens, even in times of war, to not attack priests and rabbis and people who are worshiping, monks and churches and synagogues. And that's why when Salahuddin Ayyubi, Saladin as they mispronounce, when he freed Palestine from the oppressive aggressors that had come from Europe and taken over as crusaders, he protected the churches, he protected the synagogues, he protected Jewish people to be able to pray peacefully and freely. He protected Christians to openly pray. And this is history. This is something that nobody can deny. And
look at the difference. That's a great example of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, his rules of war. It's defensive strategy. It says don't strike down trees, don't go after schools, don't go after people that are not involved. if they attack you, go after the military combatants. But look at what they're doing. These people that are pushing this propaganda, they bomb children. They start wars by bombing schools. They go at innocent civilians. Trump is threatening to wipe out.
I mean, this also comes from the Bible, though, which you gotta understand. That's why when they use the term fake Christian, I don't completely agree with Sneako saying we can be completely united, Christians and Muslims, because in the Christian Bible, they believe during times of war you can kill innocent women, children, donkeys, cattle, and sheep. And we also see Netanyahu quote this verse when he was attacking the people, the innocent people of Gaza. So this is why the whole message of unity doesn't really make sense, because they can always say their book says this and justify the reasoning. This is why we don't believe in the Bible. We don't go by anything the Bible says. We don't believe that is the message of Jesus. We believe it was corrupted by men. So the idea of complete unity does not make sense, in my opinion, because there are verses where people could take out of context and justify what they're doing. This is why everyone has to become Muslim and follow the Quran and the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. This is why we can't preach complete unity like Sneako's doing either, because that justifies people's bad behaviors. You have to preach Islam, and that's the end of the discussion.
An entire civilization. He says that Iran should be sent back to the Stone Ages. This is the president of the United States threatening and flirting with the idea of complete genocide, wiping out a civilization completely just because he's owned by the same people that own these paid provocateurs.
And one thing I also want to say is that I know these brothers who were killed, shuhada, inshallah, in this attack personally, and they have families. And these are not people that were wealthy. These were people that were working every day to feed their families, like this brother Amin, who had 9 children. May Allah protect them. I've shared with you a link, a GoFundMe that's been put for their families.
Thank you.
We hope that people will, again, this is not for us. This is for the families of those people that have been killed and their children. I really, I just have to say that these are people that I grew up with. I mean, when I came to Islam when I was 18, this is the first place I went. One of the people that, his name is Abul Izz, the father of Izz. His son Izzat's a very close friend of mine. Somebody who goes out and does da'wah with us. These are not paid actors. This is not some kind of joke. These are human beings that we know so well. They have children, they have families. They were regular people that gave their lives to protect children, that gave their lives to stop a massacre. Otherwise, these men, and from what we have seen from leaked text messages, waiting for verification and all of that, but what we have seen is that their intent was to go and kill the children that were in the school that day.
And the GoFundMe, the link to the donation, the campaign is right there pinned in chat right now. Inshallah, if you have the means, then please donate. And you brought up a great point about how people should condemn this. And I do believe that people like Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens will speak out against this. Even Alex Jones, they will condemn this. But you know why so many people won't? And they're thinking right now, they know that this is horrible, but so many people in the American political talking head space, they are not going to speak about this terrorist attack because the midterm elections are coming up. And they see that to shut people out, like Thomas Massey, who wants to release the Epstein files, they discredit these people by saying they're jihadists, by saying they're Islamic sympathizers. They say Tucker Carlson. They say that they're Islamic apologists. This is how Ben Shapiro is discrediting American voices, is associating them with Muslims. So many people right now, they're thinking this, and I know it, that this is wrong and they should speak out, but they don't want to get their political agenda. They don't want to hurt their talking. They don't want to hurt their platform and their voice, and they're prioritizing their fame and they're prioritizing their platform rather than saying what they know to be true. So to these people, say what's right. Okay, yes, the elections are coming up and you know that they're going to attack and say that you're jihadi or whatever. What is right and what is wrong? What's more important? And what are you going to remember when you die? We're all going to die one day. What is the right thing to do?
Like I said again, though, right and wrong is subjective to these people. Like Sneako's trying to empathize and unite with everyone, but they all have different beliefs based on what they believe is true, based on the book they follow, right? So the people that follow the Bible don't believe the same thing Muslims do. Like I said earlier, there's verses in the Bible that support what this kid did, So this is something we cannot unite upon. Yes, there is right and wrong, but where do people get their idea of right and wrong. That's from God. That's from the religion they follow. So this problem cannot be really completely solved unless everyone follows Islam and becomes Muslim. Inshallah, that happens very soon. But like the whole idea of unity does not make sense because you cannot unite upon different beliefs because everyone believes in different things. This is why when he talks about Shia and Sunnis, that's something else he talks about, and the unity between them. They believe in different stuff than Sunnis, the Sunni Muslims. Like you cannot unite upon falsehood. You have to unite upon the truth.
And I'll say this: Tucker Carlson is a open and proud Christian. Candace Owens is an open and proud Christian, and others that are absolutely, they're not Muslim. They're very, very open about their faith. They're very dedicated to their faith, but they are people who have at least the conscience to understand that children's lives are sacred. People, innocent people, are sacred.
Yes.
This, right when this happened, my mind was like, I flew in this morning from, being in Virginia. I hadn't slept. My mind was going crazy. And then I got this message and I got this call from a very close brother of mine, Jahid. And he said this to me. And to me, like for a second, I thought this was a joke. Like I couldn't believe when he said local masjid for so many years, the masjid that, I used to sit just by myself for hours in, the masjid that my wife and children used to go to, and my children used to go to the Sunday Islamic school. I used to teach in that school. Like that's the masjid that got attacked. And when he said who was killed, and it's somebody that I'd spent so much time with, like it was as if I was still dreaming or some surreal thing. And at that time, people started sending me screenshots from Twitter, from X, and of people.
But this is the reality of being a Muslim in America, right? As Muslims, we have to wake up and defend ourselves because, like I said earlier, the government, the police, or other people do not defend Muslims. Us as Muslims have to defend one another. We only have each other because everyone is against us. Everyone wants to attack us. Everyone wants to get rid of us. Everyone wants to kill us. Like that's just the reality of being a Muslim, and we can't be in this state where we think people are not going to attack us. They hate us, right? So we have to be better.
People who say Christ is king and Jesus is my savior, and this, applauding this, joking at it, mocking it. And I just couldn't fathom how anybody would know anything about the life of Jesus, peace and blessings be upon him, and would think a true follower of somebody that showed that kind of compassion and love would applaud somebody attacking a school filled with children and killing innocent people.
May Allah reward you. You're always working. You hardly get sleep. And the fact that you're on this stream, it really is astonishing because this is your masjid. I remember we did a tutorial. This is where I think we did a whole vlog in this masjid when I was first learning about the truth. It was here. Like this is a really special place. And I immediately called you because when I heard about what happened, I made the connection. Like, have I been here before? It's incredible to think back at.
If you remember, actually, if you remember when we went to that mosque, as we were walking in, there was an African-American man who came and hugged me. That's a security guard that got killed. And as we were walking in, there was a store on your right-hand side, and there was an older gentleman there, Abul Iz. I took you to introduce you to him, and that's the second person that's been killed. And the third person that was killed, he was also there, but I don't remember if you met him or not. But his wife was a teacher in that school, and imagine that poor woman. She was sitting with those children, scared, hearing the gunshots, reading Quran to the children in the classroom to calm them, not knowing that her husband was out there getting killed by these terrorists. This is the mosque that we were at. You met the imam. We shot a video on how to make wudu. When I was teaching you, I thought we should record it to teach others, and I have that recording. And we shot a video on how to pray with you, and that was that same mosque. You met the imam. He was very friendly. He greeted you. These are real people, real lives. Children and innocent fathers that have been put through such a horrible thing. How do people mock it?
So
I don't understand.
Can I have you, because this is not normal, right? You're still processing this. This is close to you and you have a close relationship to it. And immediately you'll already see these demonic acts from these these insidious people. What would your advice be, Sheikh Uthman, to the Muslims that are seeing this and want to seek some sort of protection? What can we do to stay steadfast and not get caught into this insanity?
The first thing is, as Muslims, we have to live by a high moral code, the code that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught us. We don't react to violence with violence. We don't react to ignorance with ignorance. One time, Aisha radiallahu anha, the wife of the Prophet, peace be upon him, his beloved wife, was with him. And some of the people who were Jews of Medina, they mocked them by saying, Sam alaykum. Like instead of saying salam, peace be upon you, they wished death and poison be upon you. So Aisha radiallahu anha, she heard this, she got upset. You know, she wanted to respond harshly. But the Prophet, peace be upon her, told her, don't respond harshly. Just say wa alaykum upon you too. Don't engage in their vile behavior with being harsh back. I mean, that's such a beautiful example. The Prophet, peace be upon him, had a harsh Bedouin came and ripped a cloth that he had on his shoulder harshly, leaving a mark and saying, give me what Allah has given you, like asking him. The Prophet gave him, he gave him everything. You know, so we as Muslims should not react with ignorance. We should not react with violence. We should never generalize Christians or Jews or anybody by blaming the general population for the actions of these two terrorists. We will not stoop to that. Rather, I call on all Muslims in America to utilize this to build bridges, to reach out to people of the Christian faith, of the Jewish faith, of the Hindu faith, and other faiths, to educate them about Islam, to build bridges of understanding, to utilize the situation to show the world that we are people who want peace. We are people who want to coexist in this country as fellow citizens peacefully. We're not here taking over anything. Yes, we share our faith because we believe in our faith, just like people of the Jehovah's Witness or the Latter-day Saint Christians or others do as well. We believe in sharing what we believe peacefully, lovingly. The next thing I'm going to say, and I'm not afraid of anybody, I speak the truth, I only fear Allah, is I believe every Muslim in America, not just MASJID and organization, every Muslim in America needs to defend themselves. You know, the hate that we're getting, the threats we're getting, the violence. You just got attacked recently. You've seen the attacks we've had, and other Muslims, innocent women coming out of Walmarts and that were shot, you know, for doing nothing but practicing their religion. We as Muslims in America, we're not just going to sit around and take it. You know, we have to use the Second Amendment ourselves and defend ourselves. And you know, we believe in being just and fair, but we don't believe in becoming victims and having the victim mindset. We're not going anywhere. You know, this is our country just as much as it is anybody else. You know, Donald Trump's ancestors migrated here. J.D. Vance's wife and his ancestors.
Trump's wife from Slovenia. She's an immigrant.
Trump's wife is an immigrant that came on not even on an immigrant visa. I believe she came on a visit or something visa and then changed it. So, you know, talk about, you know, Marco Rubio. Where's his family from? You know, I don't remember, you know, that being somebody that came on the Mayweather or something, you know, or Mayflower, whatever that ship was, right? I mean, unless your name is Standing Horse or Sitting Bull or something like that, you have no right to tell anybody else to leave this country. You know, I mean, I was raised in the U.S. I'm from San Diego. This is you as well, and we're here to stay. And we want to live peacefully amongst people of other faiths, and we will not be bullied.
And we have freedom of religion in this country. I mean, they're trying to change it. They act like they love the Constitution, but they don't seem to understand that one of the core doctrine of this country is that we have freedom of religion. And even of the Treaty of Tripoli, they have a mention from John Adams, one of the founding fathers. I'll read it here, saying that the government of the United States is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion. This is John Adams. Wow. As in it has itself no character or enmity against the laws, religion, or tranquility, or of the Muslims. They said back then, they said Mohammedan. And as it said in the States, ever entered into any war or act of hostility against the Mohammedan religion. It is declared by parties that no pretext arising from religious opinion shall ever produce an interruption of the harmony existing between the two countries. So this is founding fathers. This is doctrine, Treaty of Tripoli, 1817. This is core American beliefs Not only do we have freedom of religion, but especially the Muslims, there is nothing that's going to get away from our ability to practice our religion peacefully. And we'll continue.
Yes. And I'll say one more thing. If you are a person of reason, look up Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson, who was one of the architects of the American Constitution and of what we have, he had a Quran. I mean, it's something that is well known. He was somebody who read Islamic doctrine, and he was a Unitarian, by the way. He believed in one God. He did not believe in the Trinity, and that's one of the founding fathers of America. So this is not a Christian country. This is not a Jewish country, and it's not a Muslim country. It's a country that is believed to be open to all faiths, and we have the freedom of religion, we have the freedom of expression, freedom of speech that we have to defend. I really hope that people of good faith, good people of Christian faith, of Jewish faith, of Hindu faith, atheists, agnostics, everybody else will see this incident to be a wake-up call to stop the hate, to stop the hate mongering from the likes of Jake Lang, from the likes of David Wood and Apostate and Avery and
Loomer.
all these people who are just spewing. Who are you saying?
And Loomer, Jigsaw.
Yes, for sure. Laura Loomer, all these hate mongerings that are leading to the deaths of innocent people. It's not just people saying things. You're inspiring young teenagers to go carry out acts of violence by calling them to acts of violence. This is something that Christians should say, enough of this.
That's actually a great point. I'm not sure. Well, I don't know what Avery or God Logic has said to put him in a category of being anti-Muslim or spreading propaganda. But I remember when I saw what happened in San Diego, I thought back, and this is right when I reverted. I remember he came, and I remember you had a debate, and you were speaking about the Bible, going back and forth. I remember that being a good spirited debate for the most part. There were some interruptions. And so I went into his stream earlier, and I don't know if he said things that are incorrect. I have to do my research if I'm wrong. And I super chatted and I said, hey, can you speak about this? I remember the last time I met you, the only time I saw him was there in San Diego, the day that I visited the MASJID that was just attacked by terrorists. And I'm not sure if he ignored it, but he didn't see it and he didn't respond. But unfortunately,
the thing with these people is they're not calling you to become Christian. Even recently, as some of the Orthodox Christians have called him out on that he was pushing Muslims to go to Jewish rabbis and so on, not caring that if somebody even goes down a different path, but just to get people away from Islam. And the attacks that they have done on the character of the Prophet, peace be upon him, calling him a murderer and calling him things like this, even though they know that these are incorrect statements, is only to breed hate. It's to breed hate against Muslims. This is Islamophobia. It's not spreading Christianity. When I debated David Wood, for example, in San Diego, you can watch the video. It's on the One Message Foundation channel. I told him about the Bible. He said, the Bible is not my thing. My degree's in philosophy. And he didn't come to call me to become Christian. They just come to attack Islam. When we go out, we put a table, we give da'wah. We don't go and seek these guys. When me and you were in Balboa Park, did we go to their table and attack them? No, but they came with their cameras. Why? Right. Why don't you set up your table and share your faith? No, their whole thing is to attack Islam. And this rhetoric that they're putting out, being Muslims, being murderers, and this, this is what's fueling these things. These are not Christian apologists. These are not preachers towards Christianity. These are Islamophobes. Day in and day out, they're not out there speaking to Hindus to make them Christians. They're not just out there putting a table to share Bibles with people. They're out there day in and day out only targeting Muslims.
Yeah, 100%. You could check like their last 100 videos. They don't have nothing explaining Christianity. They just have, videos about Islam and spreading hatred about it. I mean, if you watch God Logic to learn about Christianity, you're a fool yourself. You're just someone who genuinely hates Islam.
I think what's more receptive in what they're, because when we say Islamophobe, I notice they immediately say, oh, this is woke ideology. They associate the word Islamophobe with transphobe or homophobic. What I think is going to be received better from them is that this is pro-America. If you actually want to stand up for American values, then you need to stand up for the Muslims right now when they're attacking our right to practice our religion freely, our right for free speech, especially if you don't want the Israeli occupation of our country, if you don't want them to turn this into the United States of Israel, then realize that their number one tool of propaganda is pointing the finger at Muslims while they continue to bomb the world. So if you know that this is their tactic, look.
All right, guys, that's pretty much it for the video today. May Allah grant the highest ranks of Jannah to all the men who died defending the kids in the masjid today or yesterday. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe in the video. Thank you guys for checking it out. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Have a good day.